Greetings everyone, welcome back to the channel. Don't mind my voice, I was a bit sick earlier. But today, I want to show you some of the logic I've come up with for random systems you can use on the plane. I just spent a few days thinking of random things and I tried it out and it's pretty nice. I have it all on this plane. But first, it'd be easier if I just show you individually. So here's the 3 things I came up with. Firstly, Afterburner with like variable throttle. Alright, so here it is. Basically, you see those hinges at the back? I can get a variable nozzle with that. And how this works is, as I throttle up, which you can see with the green accumulator there, and the number displays what throttle I'm at, it will slowly contract the hinges, kind of like a real plane. And once I get to max throttle, it automatically activates Afterburner, which is a rocket engine. And also opens up the hinges, kind of like a real plane. How does this work? Well, okay, basically this is just my throttle. I've shifted throttle up, controlled the throttle down. From 0 to 1, I've plugged into all the engines I would need. And it would send a signal to that, just displaying what it is. The scale is how fast it throttle up. I have set to 0.6, that feels great. Yeah, so when the throttle is at 1, so this is sending signal into this comparison gate. When it's at 1, it'll send an output of 1 to the rocket engine to activate it. And also when it's at 1, it'll send a negative output into the hinges, because what this was doing was, as the throttle gets higher, it'll send a bigger output into the hinges to make them compress more. The negative output overrides that output and fully opens them again with a negative signal. And that's basically it. Now the hinge turning is based on a logarithmic scale, so like a change from 0.4 throttle to 0.5 throttle will not move the hinges as much as 0.8 to 0.9, which is unfortunate, but there isn't really much I can do about that. At least I don't think that there is. So yeah, yeah, we have throttle. Yes, variable wing modes. So basically what I've done is I've created an accumulator loop. That's what I'm calling it. Basically, how this works. I have this set to use steps, so every time I press left alt, it'll move to the next step from 1 to 5. So it'll do that, and you have to set use steps. So basically what that means is every time I click, it'll just move that much each time. And what I have is I have 4 different modes. So if it's at 1, it'll do one thing. At 2, it'll do a different thing. 3 and 4. Then once I click it to 5, it'll send us. It'll be this one checking, which is threshold 5, so it equals 5. Send a signal into here, which is going to send a negative 4 input back into here to reset this back to 1. So I can just keep on pressing left alt and it'll cycle through these 4 modes, because as soon as it gets to 5, it'll reset back to 1. Make sense? Alright, so why do I have this? Well, I asked for a bit of help because it really just wasn't working, and Lucrum helped me in saying that when the accumulator is set to use steps, it can only detect 1 input per tick for a game tick, which makes sense. 1 game tick is like how every process the game does. Whatever. So yeah, so I have to set a delay, and he also told me to maybe try this, and so I just did everything. I don't know which one causes this to work, but one of these things causes it to work. So yeah, you just delay, so let's go to the next game tick. And yeah, let's see it in action. I have it set to 4 different wing modes. So right now we're just in forward swept mode. If I click it, it goes into like a slight rear sweep, then more rear sweep, and like the switchblade wing from Stealth. So yeah, and I click it again, it goes back to 1. That's the whole concept. Simple enough, but I'm pretty happy with it. And now on this plane, I can show you the last thing, which is fuel. Now I know a lot of people have shown fuel, and so you might already know how it works. You should definitely check out some of the other people's tutorials, because this is not a tutorial, this is just what I did. But this is how I did it. So the green logic is for the throttle and the nozzle. The yellow logic is for the wing modes. This blue logic is for the fuel. So what I have it set to is that this accumulator that sets the throttle sends an input into this accumulator, which sets the fuel. This fuel goes from 0 to 100. 100 means no fuel, 0 means all the fuel. Sorry if that's a bit confusing. and its scale is 0.5. You can set the scale to higher if you want the fuel to run out faster, or a lower scale which make it last longer. So right now you can basically think of it as having 200 fuel, and this will send an input into here, affecting how much fuel gets used at once. So at maximum, it should take 200 seconds, because this will send a maximum input of 1 into here, which means it'll detect 0.5 basically. So, and 100 times 2 is 200, so yeah, it'll take 200 seconds. But what I have also set is when the Afterburner is active, which is checked by this logic gate, that threshold 1 equals 1, it'll send a signal through this arithmetic gate, which is multiplying the input by 5, and send that into the accumulator. So when the Afterburner is active, it'll consume 5 times the amount of fuel it would otherwise. Technically 6 times, because we're also including the fuel from this being max. But yeah, basically I made the Afterburner consume a lot more fuel. And that's how this works. But how does this control the fuel usage? Well, when this gets to max, which I'm checking with this logic gate, threshold 100, so when it's at max, it'll send a negative output into the throttle, essentially making the throttle force to be 0. And that's how that works. So let's see. Alright, so no, I don't know why it's spinning. Why are you spinning? Alright, so I somehow accidentally sent a signal from the throttle into the gyro for roll. Yes, I'm using gyro, sorry. But like, I wanted different wing modes, and it would be kind of hard to fly without gyros if I did that. So yeah. Anyways, so I fixed that. Wing mode, so we have forward swept, and it's the same ones as that little test thing I showed you. And it works. So I have it set to Afterburner right now, so we're actually almost out of fuel if you see the blue accumulator in the middle. So this uses a lot less fuel, but it will eventually run out. Just run out. So the Afterburner uses a lot more fuel, as you see, and we are out of fuel. So my throttle is now 0. It just made the throttle 0. I can't shift up. There's nothing I can do. So the throttle is 0, and I'm out of fuel. So that's how that works. And I guess that's the entire video. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed. This was a really quick video, but to be honest, this video took longer than most to like actually make it happen, because logic is annoying. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Like if you like the video. Sorry, I said it backwards. Subscribe if you want to see more like it. That's better. And join my Discord. I'll put it in the description, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye. Woohoo! Wing modes. No fuel. I just ran out of fuel. All right. Goodbye.